Hi everyone, welcome to our last official money date of 2019. While we all starting to head into the holiday season, or some of us already are on the way, we're about a week away from Christmas. I want to talk about there's all this noise out there and financial stress that many of us are feeling, or stress period that there's just a lot to do, money to spend, so little time, and the list just goes on. But a lot of us want to, right, around the holidays, or just in general, it doesn't have to be the holidays. I think these tips can be used throughout to actually make somebody feel good or special. And one of the ways that you can do that does not, or a number of ways, does not have to have a money component to it. So, and because we're in this holiday mode right now, hi Wanda, good to have you here. And because we're in this holiday mode right now, let's talk about some of the ways that you can actually give, right, and still feel this, festive, without actually having to spend or break your bank. And I know everybody has a different budget, and sometimes we don't have a budget. You just kind of go and buy and whatnot. But what I don't want, or want less for you, and we see this a lot with our clients in January, because comes January, we're all starting to have a New Year's resolution for our finances. So I want you to be creative. I want you to be open-minded, and I want you to kind of give, right, from a different part of your heart and from a different part of your mind, if you know what I mean by that. So a couple of just ideas that came to mind, for myself, and I've been sort of sharing this throughout and looking actually at what other people do. So number one, volunteer time. Okay, I know that sometimes we have more money than time, or more time than money. So whichever side you're on, maybe this time around you have more time. Now, volunteering time may sound like, okay, I'm gonna go spend time doing something for a charity or whatnot. So whoever it is that you want to give, right, or make feel special and cared, that's something to think about. So spending time, right, or volunteering your time could be as simple as, and I've used to do this in my younger years, kind of feel guilty about it, because so here in our office here in Burlingame, California, we're in a downtown area, and so when you go out and walk onto the main street, obviously there's lots of little shops and restaurants, and so during the holidays there's a guy or a gal, or a few of them standing there with a bell, right, and ringing for Salvation Army, collecting dollars. I've done that. It was fun. It was really cold because this was back on the East Coast, but it was fun, and I felt like it was something that I've given, right, without necessarily having to spend money. That's just one example, right? And there's millions of things you can do. I want you to use your talents, your abilities, and your time for that. So volunteering time for a greater cause. Okay. Number two, I want you to think about spending quality time with person or people that you care about the most. And it's one of those things that I think a lot of us take it for granted. Oh, spending time, right? We do this all the time as a family, and so families always gather for holidays, and it's like, yes, we actually all of us, right, out there do that. But when you actually put a little bit more intention into why are you getting together, just because it's a holiday, it's Christmas, or it's New Year's, or if you're celebrating other Hanukkah, or other holidays, well, what's the reason behind it? So try to connect on a different level and more intentional. And so does that require money? Maybe perhaps some for you to travel, or focusing on that. And actually one of the things we've done in my family, and because most of my family is on the East Coast, so that does require money because you've got to get on the plane and travel. But we've agreed that not necessarily we're going to spend money on gifts, right, this holiday season, but more, right, if we were going to spend money, we're going to allocate that on actually trying to get together as a family, right? So that we can create more of those intentional memories. Now, I've gotten older, right, and thinking about this now that you and I have expanded our family. So for me, that's particularly more important this holiday season, is to creating those magical moments, and adding more pictures to my phone that ran out of memory is what I really want. But I want you to think about that intention, and really coming from a different space, other than just we always do this as a family. And then last but not least, so I've gotten gifts from clients, and those who have creative abilities, right? So I want to challenge you to think about, what can you create, right? What can you make for someone without breaking the bank? So I have this one client on the East Coast that always bakes cookies. And so when we meet in December, and this year I'm kind of skipping on that meeting because we had an online conversation, and I tease her about where are my cookies. So she would always bring a box of cookies that she would bake for me, right? So something like that. I am sure that each and every one of you has some kind of talent or some kind of skill that can be put to work. And then, kind of also thinking, is it really true that if you go to the mall, and which, that's what your intent is, fine, and you really look for a thing to buy, right? Is it really, that's the question you should ask yourself in the back, in the back of your mind. Is that really going to make the person that you've given gift to happy, right? Just because it's tradition, just because it means, we do give gifts for Christmas. My question I keep asking every year is, does it have to be monetary? And so think about, what can you do that does not require funds? Maybe there's some ideas that I haven't thought about, but these are kind of, come back over here and I look at this, and think about, okay, do I feel differently this time? A lot of families have been talking to a ton of clients over the last week. A lot of clients traveling. I know that takes some money and some time, but maybe instead of spending it on things, you spend it on creating actual memories. So as we close out this year, I want you to think about the non-financial side of your finances. How about that? Non-financial side of your finances, because that's the angle that we want to go into the next decade, right, into 2020, because there's a lot more in our lives than just the actual dollars, in all the strategies and things like that we talk about, because at the end of the day, we're all human beings, and we want to live a life that makes us happy and most fulfilling. So I challenge you to think about, what are you going to do this year, and not necessarily spend any money, because that's all I can read out there these days about holiday stress and trying to unwind from that. So how about we don't create it to begin with? All right, thanks for tuning in, and of course remember, as usual, check in to make sure that you stay on track with your finances. Just because we're in this time where it tends to be a little scattered and unplanned for some of us, but make sure you know where your spending is, and how are you doing with your income, and are you still tracking for the goals, because we're almost at the end. So I would want you to look back to 2019 and give yourself a pat on the back, or come up with things that you want to do better next year. All right, thanks for tuning in. Happy holidays, everyone. I'll see you later. Bye, Wanda.